Welcome back to ShopDog-Garage, in which this side of the shop is nice. It's 59 degrees. This side of the shop is not nice. It's much colder. The batteries in the thermostat died. I forgot about those. In fact, you can see the one's a little swollen, and that one's even split. So, you know, it happens. Guess you got to check that stuff once in a while. So, I'll spend as much time over here as I can every chance I get. Well, I went and grabbed some non-oxy. So I think today I want to verify our fuel system works and probably even look at getting our fuel pressure regulator set. If you recall, it's a mechanical, and it ought to be fun trying to get this to cycle, but we'll get there. So yeah, it's a mechanical right there. Should be really fun trying to figure out the pressure we're set at on this. And then another example of why we always keep weird bits of hardware off old motors. We don't have a gauge in that car right now, so I just swiped the one off there. You'll notice I've capped it out of the black car. And then from a late 90s, I think, truck motor, this would have been the oil feed sticking up, and then it has a right angle. So this is what's going to get that to where I can at least see it. You can see where that'll wind up. So at least I'll be able to get it set. Well, I would definitely be lying if I said that was easy, but we now have a gauge. That gauge will eventually go back in the black car. I think we're going to want to get one for this with a white face to make it a lot easier to see. So for now, hopefully you guys can see, put a nice Sharpie mark to tell me exactly where I want that to be. This is only a 60-pound gauge, but I only want 58 psi, so that works out pretty good. That post sure makes filling that difficult. Good thing we had the built-in funnel. Okay, my next little while is going to involve a few things. One, we're going to turn on the EFI without the fuel pump at first. So just get that loaded. I want to figure out, I pulled the SD card and looked, and I've got a bunch of different files on there all within 20 minutes of each other from the dyno. I need to figure out which one we actually still have loaded in the computer. And then I want to turn on the, set up the fans and all that stuff in it and get that calibration loaded. Once all that's done and we've got that calibration up, then we'll go ahead, put the fuse in for the fuel pump and prime the system once or twice, and then pick her up and look for leaks, because that's a scary, that's actually very scary. Decided I couldn't turn the key without you guys in here, so let's just set that in the shop for you. Let's see what happens. It should. Hey, there's a flash. It's booting. It did stuff. Okay. So, alright, let me find out what file's in it and go from there. Okay, so I've just been going through, cleaning up a little bit of, now that's, some learned fuel map. I mean, there's not a lot I can do about that yet because we only really did full pulls. But we've been going through, really the biggie has been the timing map. I really want to keep this very safe. Okay, I just uploaded the GCF that has, fans and stuff on it because we didn't enable any of that in the, at the dyno. And look, we have a quarter tank of fuel. That's cool. So all I'm looking for now is to make sure that we're reading the tach. So when I verify that I'm in neutral. Okay, you saw that was reading RPM. Okay. That's what I want out of that. So the computer is doing computer stuff. And we just put the fuse in, cycled the key a couple times, and we could hear the leak. We could also hear the fuel pump, which is good, but there's a big leak. You can see it on the ground over there. So we're going to pick the car up a little bit and figure out what we forgot to tighten, and tighten it, and clean up the fuel responsibly. Okay, so I can see fuel coming off a header, which means that's up higher, so I'll deal with that one in a minute. But we got one back here that is also dripping. Oh. Okay, well, that's odd. That's at the hose. Well, maybe it's at the hose. That might just be the drip point. It might be this. So let me give her a little tightening, and it'll be easy to tell when we got that one. It'll just stop dripping. And in an embarrassing turn of events, here's how tight these are. Oh, yeah, didn't even tighten that one. None of those down there are tightened. I'm certain the ones on the fuel tank are tightened, but I don't know about on the fuel filter. And I bet when I get up there, I'm going to have some loose ones too. Yes, those who have been watching this series for a long time are going to remember that at one point, this regulator was mounted where this battery is now. When we moved it, wasn't sure that's where it was going to stay. Never tightened the lines. And of course, never went back and checked on them. So hopefully now everything is tight. We're going to hook up the battery again, do a couple cycle tests after I wipe everything as dry as they're going to be, and we'll go back through and look for leaks. I really want to make sure there's no leaks on the tank or up at the fuel filter that's behind the rear end, but we'll get there. This is why we test things. All right, let's cycle the key a couple more times. ShopDog's not happy about all this gasoline, especially not when it's, you know, $4.50 a freaking gallon. This non-oxy is not free around here. So Jeff is watching. I just cycled the key, heard the pump go off, turn it off for a second. Let's cycle the key. Okay, turn the pump off. Let's go do a lot of feeling and a lot of snugging. I dropped this pretzel. Before we do too much more testing, we're going to just dry everything out under there. We've got a couple fans just drying everything. We've turned the key over a few times, set her for 58 psi. But now we want to do a real leak test, not a gross leak like we had. And to do that, I really need everything to be dry first. And then we'll key it over, or not key it, but cycle the fuel pump probably 4 or 5 times, keep pressure on it for a while, pick up the car, feel all the lines. Okay, it doesn't smell as bad in here. ShopDog and I actually went for a ride. Got a little bit of Guinness. So it doesn't smell as bad as it did. So that means we must be evaporating some of that up and getting it out of here. And with that, I think I'm going to cycle the key a couple more times. And let's build some pressure. Oh, I love seeing that the gauge is working for the fuel. Okay, so that was one go. And if we wait 5 or 6 seconds. Okay, so that was 2 good primes. I'm not hearing any air purging anymore, which is great. So let's feel around, pick up the car, and do some more feeling. Okay, I think we're doing a better job this time. So obviously there's no big puddle under here. This all looks pretty good. No big puddle down here. And let me figure out how to get a light so you guys can see. See, that all looks good up there as well. So we may actually have a fuel system now. Probably cycle it over 3 or 4 more times. It doesn't hurt to run all that, make sure any junk is pushed into the filters and out of the way. But not hearing giant air burps out of the snipers anymore. So that's a great thing. Well, for better or for worse, I think we're going to do something crazy here. Alright, let's go ahead and get some power. I think it's time. I think you'll note I also definitely have a fire extinguisher handy. Oh, we're going to pop the door up a little bit, just in case we do make any noise. Move anything that's in our way out of our way. And We're in neutral. Okay, fuel pump's running. Okay, now what we have is a low battery. Let me get a jump pack. Okay, here I'll show you. I just hooked up our jump pack. Wasn't digging that skippy sound. Hopefully we haven't done anything silly here. But let's see what happens. Ugh. Voltage is definitely getting too low. So I got to look into what's going on with that. Okay, so I have tightened the negative battery terminal. Remember, I had that really loosey-goosey. Let's see what happens now. The pucker factor is a little high, to say the least. Ooh. Yeah, and let's just be ready just in case. Make me feel a little better. Okay. Oh. Cross fingers. We're in neutral. Key on. Heard something happen. Ooh, we had ignition. We also definitely might not have enough battery. But we heard ignition, and that tells us quite a few things. For starters, it tells us that our timing is in the ballpark. It tells us the MSD box works. Yeah, that's pretty good. We just heard it bark. I'm not digging the skis, but then again, not a supercharger guy. Don't know if that's common. Hopefully we have enough battery here. I'm really hoping. Okay, we still got plenty of coolant there. I'm moving you guys to this side a little bit. We'll try this one more time and then we're done for a while. I don't want to flood the cylinders. Yeah, we're dropping down to 9.5 volts on the display. We're gonna have to look a little further into our system here. But we heard it bark again. So it can't be that bad. Okay, I just shimmed the starter. See if that helps a little bit with the power drop. But we may have some battery cable things to deal with here. Let's see. Oh, this is nervousing. No, we're not getting enough RPM. So let me see what we can do here. Well, no cable seemed smoking hot. No connection seemed smoking hot. The only thing I noticed going through the software was we had to hit 300 RPM for crank to run. So I dropped that to 150. I just want to hear it bark. I don't care about anything else. So just needed enough. Although I'm not digging the hiccuping, but you know, it is what it is. So we'll have to figure out what that is. Hopefully it's not rebuilding some of these battery cables, but we'll get there. Hopefully this battery is enough. But you heard it bark. So now I'm going to go through, check some fluids. Alright, we just topped off the power steering. We're doing pretty good still on coolant. I think that'll burp down further yet. Not putting the jump pack on. I want to see, because obviously it hasn't been very long, but I'm pretty sure I put the fuse back in.
You put the E05 thing in?
Yeah, I think I put the fuse in. Yes, I did. I can see it. So, this is probably the last one for a little while, but you can see we're at 12 something volts. And there she is running. And idling. She's idling. Okay.
That sounds fine. I don't hear
That ran good. It idled good. It turned over good. It started as soon as we had good oil pressure. Wow. Okay. There's still a lot to do yet, but I really want to charge that battery back up. I've been stressing that like crazy today. Yeah, that was cool. Well, it's started a couple times now. I'm going to start it, and this is going to be the first time we're going to let it just run for a minute, and then I want to check a few things. One of the biggies, of course, is this belt alignment down here, that belt alignment right there. In fact, you can see it's come forward. You know, just kind of want to get a warm and fuzzy here. We still have our fire extinguisher handy, so that should minimize the chance of fire. Yeah, this is always spooky. But let me go see if she starts right up again. Maybe. Whoops, shotgun went outside. All right. Supercharger surge. You can see the belt has ridden as forward as that pulley will let it, but the alternator belt is riding pretty good. I'm happy with that. Okay, so we're getting that surge that people love in a supercharger. Now remember, you're on a tripod, so hopefully I remember. Okay. I'm sure I've got some settings I can adjust here and things to learn and do, but you can see we've got 14.2 volts. We're hanging in that 1000 RPM, but we're not warm enough to really come down to 750 at this stage. So the other thing you'll notice, the IAC is completely closed and can't come down, which means I got to close some throttle blades. Which would be this screw here or right in here. We'll deal with that in a few minutes. We weren't worried about idle on the dyno. The important thing is it seems to be doing what it's supposed to. It's warm enough now that I want to shut it down, look for leaks. Okay. Obviously no dieseling, because that's the beauty of EFI. That just stops the fuel. So we're going to go over it, look for leaks, see if there's any issues that we can find. And I'm also going to close the throttle blades a little bit more. Okay, we just went under and I don't see any drips or leaks or anything anywhere. So that makes me very, very happy. Oh, this is This is always the scariest part when things start having to work. But it's also pretty exciting when it is working. All right. So now that I have checked for leaks again and not found any, which always makes me feel a little happier, let's put you guys back in the tripod here. Okay, I have just a couple more things I want to check. One, you know, can I get the, and I realize it's cold, but I mean, can I get the IAC even in the ballpark of where I want it to be? Two, is our fuel pressure actually what I want it to be? So, got a couple things to do today. One, is start the car. Okay, now I gotta we're going to need more throttle return spring. So that's important to note. Our throttle return spring is not enough. So that's on my list. So we're getting in the ballpark. Obviously, it has to be a hot engine to do that, but knowing that I got to deal with the throttle return spring tells me that I'm not going to get too crazy with that right now. But you can see we're getting some IAC and a little surging. It's trying to bring it to 750, but we don't have enough response yet. But we will. See, we're getting some bubbling here. That's all running pretty nice. Like I said before, this being full closed, see, I got to work on the throttle return spring. It's too weak now. But before I shut it down, let's take a listen. Get this thing off the tripod. Wow. Okay, I'm dripping something down there. Might be water from the exhaust, actually. That could be water in the exhaust. Looking at where that is. So okay, 150. I don't really want to play thermostat games yet. So I think we're going to go ahead and shut her down. Okay. So we move the spring back here and now. So that worked. The only leaking we're finding is just dripping from the exhaust, you know, from the way the mufflers are. So now that I've done that, and it's actually closing the throttle. Now what happens? I really don't want to get too hot, but I'm curious. So see, right now IAC is 30. And then that'll quickly decay. See it decaying? trying to go. So see, we're really close to the 750 we're trying to get. Okay, we're at a point now where one, it's got to learn. Two, I probably have to change the rate that it can move the IAC, but you can see it. It shoots for it, it passes it. It comes back up, it shoots for it, passes it, comes back up, never hits 0, which means we still have control. So over time, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to tune that better and better. One, it'll learn, and two, I think I'll change the IAC ramp rate. But that's now working. So we're getting really close to the thermostat, and I'm not sure I'm quite ready for that yet. So the only thing I want to know real quick is, yeah, it does that. Okay, the decay rate's a little slower. Oh, I think I know why. I bet we still don't have enough throttle return. Yeah, still need a little more. But I think I'm going to shut that down now, because we're getting a little warmer than I want to get. That's really close to kicking fans and opening thermostats. And not quite there yet. Oh, actually, I think we've already opened the thermostat. That hose is pretty warm. So, we're really close. We obviously don't have anywhere near enough on the throttle return stuff. But that's something we can work out. We can get that all sorted. Wow, we're starting to add a lot more springs than I thought I'd need. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. Let's see how bad that is. Oh, that's not unreasonable. Okay. So, I know she's getting warm, and I don't want her to spew. Learning. I'm going to have to change when she's allowed to learn. I can see that happening. But you can see we've got good alternator. We still got fuel. Everything's working. Temp's working. Oil's working. Obviously, we've got great oil pressure. Turn the lights on. Turn the lights off. So, clock works. But yeah, you can see we're starting to get up there in the temperature and the coolant, and I'm not quite ready for that game yet. So I'm gonna go in and do just a little bit of changing on a couple settings real quick. Well, I was in editing, and I don't know how, but the last video that's on the phone was at 3:21 p.m. And unfortunately, there's 2 more hours of me out here. So, I don't know what's missing. I tried to find it. It wasn't in my cloud or anything. So, I'm out here to shoot a new close to this video. The last video I have is me talking about adding more spring pressure to close the throttle, which means you guys missed a whole bunch of stuff. Sorry about that. Anyway, obviously, you know, we got the more springs. Been in, tuned some things. We got hot. We've tested fans. Let's see. Now, I haven't let the system pressurize, but we will in just a minute, because why not? But you can see we've got fluid. That thing is a real pain. Oh, just a bummer. I don't know that I've ever lost footage before. I don't know what I did. So, anyway, I'm not going to bother popping that up because we're not going to run it that long. I've made some changes in the software probably twice. So, got it all loaded. Look at that. It's cooled down quite a bit, though. It's under 140. Yeah, it's 133. I've got her starting better. And as she warms up, she'll surge and idle a little better. getting there. I'm getting there. As you can see, runs pretty cool. Gotta be careful there. That's an owie. Yeah, one of the things we had discovered, there's air in the power steering line. Of course there is. That's up. So we had talked about the fact that when I hit the brake, which is Hydro Boost, it goes brrrr, which is not uncommon when there's air bubbles. So tomorrow I'm going to have to pick the car up, move the jack forward, make sure that we're in neutral, which obviously that seems to work. Pick that up so that we can lead the power steering out. That's kind of where we had left it. But you can see she's not idling too terribly. You know, she's still cool, so she's trying to idle in the, I think at like 850 until she gets to 150 or 160. I don't remember the ramp rate. Alternator works, power steering has got air bubbles in it. Cooling system, this is the first time we've been pressurizing that. So hopefully we don't get anything popping there. She's not under a lot of pressure yet though. She will be when she warms up. So this is our new clothes. I'm sorry, you guys missed an awful lot. But to be fair, this video is already getting kind of long. So, oh geez, don't lose that key. I don't know that we have a spare. So, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully I don't lose this video too. I guess my video card's getting a little full.